They didn't shoot him in the street. They didn't argue with him. They didn't warn him. According to street accounts, Vence V-Dog Buchanan vanished first. Then videos surfaced. Then a body was found in a Compton cemetery with a bullet in the back of his head. No arrests, no witnesses, no forgiveness. And once you hear why this happened, you'll understand how the streets really erase people. Welcome back to American Gang War, the channel where real American street stories are documented, not glamorized. Here, we break down true crime, gang history, street politics, and the untold stories behind names you won't hear on the news. Tonight's documentary dives into one of Compton's most disturbing street cases, the death of Vence V-Dog Buchanan, a known close associate of Lil Rod. This is not a rumor recap. This is a full breakdown of the allegations, the street narratives, and the chain of events that allegedly led to captivity, torture, and an execution-style killing. If you're here for real street history, American gang culture, unsolved murders, and long-form true crime documentaries, you're in the right place. Watch until the end, because this story doesn't explode. It unravels slowly, and the truth sits in the details. Before we begin, understand this. Everything you're about to hear is presented for educational and documentary purposes, based on public records, online discussions, and street accounts. Names and events may include allegations, not court-verified facts. Now let's talk about how one name, V-Dog, went from being protected by proximity to erased by it. They say every street story starts with a name, but most end with a body and unanswered questions. This one begins with Vence Buchanan, known in certain Compton circles as V-Dog. Not a rapper, not a kingpin, just close enough to power to be seen and close enough to danger to be touched. His name floated through conversations the way smoke hangs in alleyways. Never clear, never gone. What happened to him didn't unfold in a flash of gunfire. It moved slow, quiet. According to street talk and online accounts, it involved betrayal, captivity, humiliation, and a final moment nobody survived to describe. This isn't a legend. This is how real street endings happen. V-Dog wasn't known to the public, but he was known where it mattered. He moved with people who had reputations, including Lil Rod, and that alone made him visible. In the streets, visibility is currency, and also a curse. He wasn't the face, but he was around the face. Not the trigger, but close to the hand. People like that don't get protection, they get suspicion. He was described as someone who knew too much, saw too much, and moved too freely between spaces that don't forgive mistakes. In gang culture, being just an associate can be more dangerous than being a leader, because when blame comes looking, it starts with the expendable. Compton isn't just a city, it's a chessboard where moves are remembered for decades. Beef doesn't die, it sleeps. Every alliance is temporary, every favor has a receipt. Streets don't need proof the way courts do. All they need is belief. In this environment, rumors carry the same weight as evidence. Old grudges mix with new incidents, and eventually someone gets labeled a problem. When that happens, the question isn't if something will happen, it's when. And the streets don't rush. They wait until fear does the work for them. According to repeated online discussions and street narratives, V-Dog's name became connected, right or wrong, to an ambush involving known figures. No paperwork, no courtroom confirmation, just talk. But talk is enough. In street logic, being allegedly involved is the same as being guilty, because retaliation doesn't run on facts, it runs on perception. Once his name entered that conversation, the countdown started. People began watching him differently. Trust thinned. Doors closed. Phones stopped ringing. That's how the streets tell you something's coming, without ever saying it out loud. Trust in the streets isn't built on loyalty. It's built on fear and usefulness. Once either disappears, so does protection. V-Dog, according to street accounts, went from being an associate to being a liability. And liabilities don't get explanations. They get summoned. In gang culture, being called in to talk is never a good sign. That's not a conversation, it's a verdict waiting to be delivered. When trust breaks, silence follows. And silence is the loudest warning you'll ever get. Online accounts allege that V-Dog was taken under deceptive circumstances, possibly by individuals posing as authority figures. There is no public confirmation of this, but the story repeats with unsettling consistency. That matters in street history. Impersonation isn't about stealth, it's about control. It removes resistance before it starts. If true, it meant V-Dog never had a chance to run. He didn't disappear loudly. He vanished clean. And in the streets, clean disappearances usually mean something ugly is already happening behind closed doors. Street narratives claim V-Dog was held and tortured, allegedly recorded during the process. If true, this wasn't about extracting information. Torture like this is symbolic. It's a message to everyone watching, especially the ones who think they're safe. Violence isn't always about killing. Sometimes it's about breaking someone so completely that death becomes a formality. Recorded humiliation removes any chance of survival, because once the footage exists, release becomes impossible. The damage has already spread. In modern street culture, a camera is more dangerous than a gun. A recording turns private violence into permanent proof. It locks in narratives. It forces retaliation. If V-Dog was recorded, as alleged, that sealed his fate. You can't walk away once that kind of footage exists. Letting someone live after that invites revenge, embarrassment, and internal weakness. In the streets, embarrassment is worse than bloodshed. Once humiliation is documented, mercy disappears. According to street accounts, there was no escape phase, no ransom, no negotiation. Once the damage was done, the ending was already written. People who reach this stage aren't considered human anymore. They're considered problems that need closure. Silence around this period is total. Nobody speaks on last words. Nobody claims responsibility. Because by then, everyone involved understands the same rule. The less said, the longer you live. V-Dog was allegedly found dead in a Compton cemetery, with reports describing an execution-style gunshot to the back of the head. If true, the location matters. Cemeteries are symbolic, places meant for closure, not violence. Ending a life there is a statement. It says the story is finished. No comeback, no retaliation expected, just finality. Whether intentional or not, the message was clear. This chapter is closed, and nobody is supposed to reopen it. After his death, the streets went quiet. No public mourning, no loud denials, just whispers online and tight lips offline. That silence speaks volumes. In gang culture, silence isn't respect, it's survival. People erase names from conversations to avoid inheriting problems. The faster someone disappears from memory, the safer everyone else feels. That's how lives get erased twice, once physically and once socially. Cases like this rarely move forward. No witnesses want attention. Evidence disappears before police arrive. Fear does the rest. Even when people know, they don't know, at least not officially. The streets handle their own outcomes, and the cost is permanent uncertainty. Justice doesn't always mean answers. Sometimes it just means nobody else gets touched. V-Dog's story isn't rare, it's routine. It shows how proximity to power invites suspicion, how rumors replace proof, and how fast loyalty turns lethal. The streets don't care about innocence, they care about control. Once you're labeled a threat, the ending isn't dramatic, it's procedural. Quiet, efficient, forgotten. This story isn't about glorifying violence, it's about documenting how it actually works. No heroes, no winners, just people navigating systems designed to consume them. Vence V-Dog Buchanan became another name added to a long list of street casualties, remembered in whispers and threads, not headlines. And in the end, that's the coldest part. Not how he died, but how quickly life moved on afterward.